concept is al-Islam, and whoever seek any other deen apart from Islam will never be accepted.
You will take over USA, you will take over UK, you will take over Europe, you will defeat them all, you will get victory, you will take over Egypt. We trust in Allah.
With us now is Kit Wilders. See, USA, much more open-minded country than Great Britain, isn't it? You're here. You didn't get hassled, did you?
No, not at all.
All right, you're here on the biggest cable show in the country.
Well, you are a country that, fortunately, unlike the British, is still very fond of free speech.
I didn't like that. You know, I love Great Britain. I'm going there in May, and I studied there for a year. I didn't like the fact they didn't let you in. I thought that was wrong.
I didn't like it either. I mean, even if you disagree with somebody, please give them the room to speak and use your freedom of speech.
But they're afraid. You know they're afraid.
They are afraid.
They're scared.
And they are not only afraid, but they were threatened with 10,000 Muslims.
Of course. But
you
were threatened. How many times have you been threatened? 5,000? I mean, you know.
I don't know.
And one of your countrymen got killed in the Netherlands.
And I'm for 4.5 years now under 24-hour police protection. I lived with my wife
so that's what it's all
in
about.
Jails, in prison cells, and whatever. But still, I'm a fighter, and I'm fighting for freedom of speech.
I got to challenge you on this thing.
Sure.
It's 15 minutes, okay? And you got nuts like you showed here. You know Bill Maher is? Bill Maher is an American comedian. He did a documentary film called Ridiculous Religion or something like that.
I was even in that film.
Okay. Now, anybody can make a 15-minute film about religion and make it like it's crazy and, you know, get those guys. You could do that on Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, whatever. Couldn't you?
No, not a movie like that. I mean, for instance, if you look at terroristic acts, of course it would be crazy to state that all Muslims are terrorists, because they are not. But almost all terrorists, unfortunately, are Muslims. So it would have been impossible to use. I didn't use actors in the film. I used real images combined with certain verses from certain surahs, and it would have been impossible to make that kind of movie about Christianity. And my point exactly is that when you look at the Islam, I'm not talking about the people. I have nothing against Muslims.
Yeah, when you look at the philosophy...
If you look at the ideology of Islam, it's a totalitarian ideology.
But you don't spend much time in the documentary on the Quran itself. And again, you can take the Old Testament and the Bible and pull out all kinds of inflammatory stuff. And I'm saying to myself, what good is... Here's the bottom line on it, sir. What good is this? Most people know in the free world, not in the Muslim world, in the free world, most clear-thinking people know that worldwide terrorism is driven by Islamic fascism. People know that. What good is you telling them again?
Unfortunately, most people in Europe don't know, especially the political elite, the leadership in Europe. They don't know it. They are afraid. They are what the Arabs call dhimmis. They are afraid of the reality. If I tell you that even today in a European country, Great Britain, the country that banned me and sent me away after detaining me for a few hours, we have already today, when it comes to family law, Sharia courts functioning. I mean, this is Europe today.
But you can't tell me after the London subways got bombed, after your compatriot got murdered in the street of Holland, after they blew up the train in Madrid, after all of these things happened, that Europeans don't know? No. They don't know?
The European
they're
people...
They're afraid. They're cowards.
They are big, fat cowards.
Okay, so this isn't going to change that.
But the political elite is not acting. What we should do, we should be more proud of our own identity. We should be more proud of our values that are based on Christianity,
so what do you do?
on Judaism.
Do you throw the Muslims out of Holland?
I will not throw anybody out.
Because you got a big problem over there, don't you?
What I wanted to say is that the first thing we should do in Europe is to stop the immigration from Muslim countries. I wouldn't like to halt the immigration from Muslim countries. If you look at the demographics, if you look at the mass immigration, it is changing our society for the worse.
Well, what's the percentage of Muslims? It's 10% in France. Population is 10% Muslim. What is it in the Netherlands?
Well, a little bit less. We have 16 million inhabitants, and 1 million out of them are Muslims. 100 years ago, it were 54 Muslims out of the population. And the numbers is not the only problem. The fact is that at the end of the day, we will lose our freedom, because Islam wants nothing else than to submit other people. They are not in our societies to integrate.
Now, do they call you a racist like they call me here?
Well, you know, they do. But it's very easy that if somebody is not playing the political correct tune, to label him a racist or xenophobe. I am not. My party today represents the second biggest party in the polls in the Netherlands. Why? Those people are not racist. Those people are proud on their own Christian identity. They don't want the Netherlands to become an Islamic country.
But you'd stop the migration.
I would stop the migration. I would not throw anybody out, except if they commit violent crimes. Of course, then we can say, well, you are not welcome anymore in this country. And this is really the first thing we should do. What are we doing now? We are, like the United Kingdom, we are bargaining away. We are appeasing. It's as if Mr. Chamberlain is again in office and not Mr. Gordon Brown.
All you have to see is how many troops NATO in Europe sends to Afghanistan, and what Europe does, very small. All right, Mr. Wilders, we hope you stay safe. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here.
When we come right back, the Culture Warriors on Helen Thomas's view of terrorism. And also ahead, gay marriage, the big winner in the Best Actor category last night. Reality Check has the behind-the-scenes story after these messages.
Member of Parliament, Geert Wilders, is causing tension across the world with his anti-Islamic rhetorics. Well, he needs 24-hour protection, but that's not stopped him from provoking controversy. He's been talking to Roche Today's Charlotte Loms-Farley.
The Quran is a fascist book which incites violence. These are the words of Dutch MP Geert Wilders, who has sought to ban the Quran in the Netherlands. He's had numerous death threats for his outspoken attacks on Islam and immigration, which have also provoked uproar at home and abroad. He now plans to release a movie on the Quran, which he says is deliberate provocation of Muslims worldwide. Geert Wilders, thanks very much for joining us. Now, because of your views, you have had numerous death threats and you live under police protection, but that still hasn't stopped you pursuing such a radical stance. Now, why is that?
Well, I don't think my stand is very radical. I'm just an honest politician with growing support, fortunately, in the Netherlands. But if I would moderate my voice, or if I would stop saying what I really think, the terrorists, the people who don't use democratic arguments but use undemocratic arguments like death threats that unfortunately I get almost every day, they would win. So I will never stop, because if I will stop, or if I will moderate my voice, if I will not tell the truth according to me, then the people who use threats will win. And I believe in a democracy, those people should and will never win.
So being such a vocal critic isn't just a publicity stunt?
It's not a publicity stunt, no. I pay a high price for it in my private and professional life, so I would never do that for publicity reasons. It's a real problem, it's a real threat.
But don't you feel that your outspoken views could be counterproductive and simply further racial and religious tension?
Well, of course, this is not my aim. I don't want any tensions, I don't want any riots or trouble, but it's too late to only have sophisticated talk amongst one another. We, as the Netherlands and Western Europe, we were too tolerant too long, ignoring the problem of the Islamization of our continent.
Now, you're about to release a 10-minute film on the Quran, which has already provoked outrage, really, and warnings from the Muslim communities all over the world. Now, why are you doing this, and who do you plan to broadcast it?
Well, I'm still negotiating with offices and broadcasting companies who will, I hope, will broadcast it all over the world, certainly in the Netherlands. But my aim is to open people's eyes about what the Islam really means. It's not an old book from 1500 years ago, somewhere in the shelves, or to be compared with other holy books like the Bible or the Torah, but indeed it's a very vivid book that is still, unfortunately, giving incentives to a lot of people, in some countries of the world even as the law, and doing the most terrible terroristic things in the heads of people and even states. And I think that if people see the images, not only use the words of an article or see a debate, if they see a short movie, that they really, I hope indeed, will open their eyes and look what the Islam really is. And this is a threat once again to our democratic and free society.
Now, evacuation plans have been made for Dutch embassies abroad if this film does get the go-ahead and lead to violence. Now, so that's putting other lives at risk, not just your own. How do you feel about that?
Well, of course, I can never be responsible for that, because I'm a democratically elected politician. More than 500,000 people voted for me personally and my party. I use only democratic means, and I believe that if people, as a reaction in a democracy, well, if you don't like a message or a movie or an article, you write your own article or you make your own movie or you go into a debate or a discussion. And if, once again, people don't use that democratic means of discussion and debate,